Started. Okay. All right. So welcome everybody on this wonderful Sunday afternoon. Um, we're coming, I think, from across the U.S., which is great. Thanks to Colleen for the suggestion on this happy hour, and for Tanea and Ariel agreeing to kind of lead it and moderate it. A lot going on these days, and I was really pleased with our board members and members of some affiliate STEM teacher organizations, Phoenix and Cleveland and Mass Bay, helping to release a statement last week. I think it went over very well and people were pleased with it. And so for those on this call that were involved in that, Wendy and I have gotten some very positive emails from people like, forever a fan, sign me up for lifetime membership. So for those of you on the call that were involved in putting that together, a big thank you from AMTA for doing that. So I'm going to turn this over. We're up to 20 people now. I'm going to turn this over to Ariel and Tanea, and I'm going to take myself off so you don't have to look at me. Have fun, and let's have some great conversation today.
Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Ariel Serkin, and I am from Greater Boston area. And tonight, I want you to introduce yourself as well.
My name is Tanea Hibler, and I teach at Brophy College Preparatory in Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh yeah, I guess I should tell where I teach too. So I teach at Norfolk County Agricultural High School. I'm a chemistry teacher. Tanea is a biology teacher. Tanea is on the AMTA board, and I am one of the co-founders and co-executive officers of STEM Teachers Mass Space. And we're both workshop leaders, so you can always see us around AMTA doing things in a social media. So we have our Twitter handles here for you to follow us. You will see us tweeting about education,
everything,
and equity, yes, and everything else pretty regularly. So we're really honored to be here to be hosting this, and I'm thank Tanea for really just giving us a good framework based on what she did, what her school put together. So this is going to be modified from her school's equity and inclusion slideshow, but really adapted to what we are and as modelers. So, oops, always make sure you click on the right thing. Just some community norms as we're getting started, and we might see these a few times because we're going to remind you of them. We're going to speak with I statements only, speak from experience, not generalizations. We're going to listen from the heart, not from the head, and there'll be times when you need to take a step forward, and there are times we're going to be needing you to take a step back and to listen.
Yeah, so if you're a person who doesn't talk very often, maybe now's the time to speak up and share your thoughts and your feelings. And if you're a person like me that's always doing all the talking, you might want to just step back and let other people have some space to speak.
The first thing that we're going to have you do is, and I'm going to unshare my screen in a second because I want to, for those of you who are comfortable, we'd like you to share your video cameras because we would like a visual thumbs up, thumbs down, and thumbs sideways. If you can't see me, I will, sorry, I try to do a virtual background so you can see the cat everywhere, but we don't know how well that works. And the question that we would like you to address is, how comfortable are you talking about race? And I'm going to unshare the screen so we can see everybody. So thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle.
So we have a lot of a thumbs up and thumbs sideways. So both.
Yeah, which is.
I don't know. I didn't see the second. I don't know if there are any thumbs down or not.
I didn't see any thumbs down, but if you did that, it's okay to be uncomfortable, and because.
Yeah, you're gonna feel discomfort. as a Black person, I've grown up talking about race my entire life. It's just a part of like what happens when you grow up a person of color. You grow up talking about race, and so I feel comfortable talking about race, but that doesn't mean I'm always in a comfortable position or I'm speaking about race with a group of people that I'm comfortable with. So my students are typically mostly all white males, or maybe mostly white males and Hispanic males, and I know that they maybe don't share the same experiences as me and the same perspective as me, and so I'll be talking about race in my classroom, and it's not always very comfortable, or with my coworkers who have a different perspective from me a lot of times. It's not always comfortable because I know people are looking at me like, what's this lady talking about? And so I just sit in my discomfort and say, hey, I just got to accept that. I'm going to be discomfort and I'm going to be growing in the process, and other people are going to process as well. We're going to be learning from each other.
And as a white woman, I grew up not speaking about race, and I grew up in the city. And part of it was that it was, oh, you know, we Jews understand things, and we didn't really acknowledge race. And also growing up in, you know, I was in the late 80s, early 90s, it was very much the colorblind idea. We don't see color, we see the person. And learning more as I've gotten older, it's become really important that we talk about race and feel uncomfortable. And for the white people here, or the white passing people here, there's guilt associated with it. So we're going to own that discomfort. We're going to own that guilt and make sure that we have room for growth.
I'll speak on this a little bit. Why does AMTA care about this work? Well, but we're modelers, though. Every classroom, right? Like, we already got this stuff covered. We don't have to worry about this. I think that's what a lot of modelers would say, because I love modeling. Well, I think you guys love modeling. I know I do. And so it's really easy to think that we're doing everything right, but it's not enough just to say that students have a voice because we create these groups and we do whiteboards and discussions. There's a lot of things that we need to consider as teachers, as educators. The educational system has historically failed Black, Brown, Indigenous people. And there's a reason for that, and we need to figure out what that reason is, and we need to be the solution to the problem as modelers, as educators, as a community.
Tanea covered it all for me. I'll take the next one though. Doesn't being nice matter? Can't that fix the problem? We hear a lot of just be kind, and read the signs where we have people stand in for the I in kind, and just being kind and just being nice, doesn't that solve it? And the answer is no. We have systemic problems within our schools, within our communities, within the entire education system that we need to address, and just being nice doesn't do it. And it often negates the experience of the students of color and the teachers of color in our classrooms, in our schools, in our communities. Once again, community norms, because we're going to be talking. There they are. Well, we're a whiteboard, we're modelers, this is what we do. In a few moments, we're going to put you in groups. We're going to have you define in whiteboard terms, and I will put the link in the chat in just 1 second. You're going to define the terms race, racism, and anti-racist. So once again, you're going to define the terms race, racism, and anti-racist. And what you will be doing, and I will, 1 second.
Remember, Graveson's flows off in the line, sorry.
What we will be doing, just 1 second, sorry, I have to multitask, is that I am sharing with you right now the Google Sites that have a link to all of it, and I will go share my screen once again. And what you will see is on the board slide, and so we'll go to the present keys. There you go. There will be a box. So when you will be put into breakout rooms, you will have a group number, and that is a place for you to be able to put your information when you are finished with it. I'm just going to ask right now that can everybody just mute themselves just to make sure, because sometimes we get feedback. I also have a list here to some questions, and these are reflection questions for white educators by Sky Brown. Things to consider as you're writing these conversations. At the bottom of it, and this is right on the slides that I just shared with you, is a link to the entire thread if it is easier for you to read on a Twitter thread as opposed to reading them on the Google Slides. So once again, we're going to be putting you in groups, and in these groups, we're going to be having you discuss these questions. And I think they are the one who has to put them in groups if you are the one who is because as a co-host, I cannot do that.
Yeah, I can't do it either. It's not working for me. I'm going to repost for people who just joined late. I'm going to repost. You can Jamboard to make a whiteboard, collaborate on a whiteboard, or the AW app, whiteboarding app, or you can use Google Drawing. My students use all those, or you can write directly on the slides. So if you're in group 1, you're going to be writing on one that's labeled 1. Group 2, you're working with the slide that's labeled 2, etc., etc. So I put that in the chat again for you. If you can just make random groups, Bill, that'd be great.
Yep, I got it. So the only thing I'm going to check is just to make sure. Yep, I'm just going to move a couple people around just a little bit. We're going to give you some time because we think it's really important for you to be able to be in these conversations and to have these groups. And just give me 1 second. Oh, and I think.
So while she's doing that, I'm just going to say it again. You want to think about what are you thinking? What are you feeling really? And can you define the terms race, racism, and anti-racism? And then if you need additional questions for your group to discuss, on slide 10, there were some questions from Sky Brown about, is your safety net more comfortable in white spaces? Why is that? Do you try to block or redirect or challenge Black, Indigenous people of color who try to advocate against racism, leading to high turnover of Black, Indigenous people of color, friends, colleagues you work with directly? So there's a bunch of questions there for you to think about. I think you might not get to those questions because it might just be a challenge, the first slide that we gave you, but try your best to engage in the conversation. And remember, you can start your statements with I, because we all might have similar perspectives, but we might have different perspectives on the matter as well.
Okay, I'm opening the rooms. Hopefully you all know, you just click on the box and off you go.
Hello.
Well, these are familiar faces. 67% Kentucky here, Colleen. All right, I need to return this to the freezer. I'll be back.
Of course, yeah.
I feel like there should be more than 3 in this room, but we'll see if anyone's late.
I think you're muted, Colleen.
If they put us in 6 rooms and there were 23 people, one of those rooms is going to have 3 people. Actually, probably more than one of those rooms, because I'm going to guess that Tanea and Ariel
are not
assign themselves rooms. They're going to float between rooms. So I don't know. It might have been more lively discussion if we had done fewer rooms, but Look at you walking without crutches, Bill.
You know what? It's slow, but I'm getting there.
Good.
Yeah.
Good deal.
All right, and then
Okay.
they want us to take notes too, right?
Well, we should take notes. We should. I don't know. Does somebody want to? Do we want to use the
I was just
built-in
going to do it on
whiteboard,
the slide, on the
Yeah.
Google
or do
slide.
we want to write right on the slide, or how do we want to do this?
I don't mind taking the notes, and I'll just type it directly. It looks like I thought we're in breakout room 3, right? Yeah.
We
Right.
are.
We'll use that third slide. I can type for us. Just
Oh, okay.
yeah.
I already started a text box.
If you want it, you got it.
Okay.
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 Cool.
I'm
How
not
do you
gonna
do that?
lie, Colleen.
Make colored text boxes. I that's not something I've learned how to do.
We Matt, Colleen, and I had seen they sent us the presentation a little bit earlier, so I was
Okay.
reviewing it, and I am sensitive to these topics, but not the most knowledgeable. So I kind of in my head defined what I thought race was, but then of course I looked it up because I wanted to see,
Sure.
and then I was reading about race versus ethnicity and just so like I feel good with it, but I kind of cheated, so
Okay.
Oh, so you're going to make us speak first because
Well, we can just pretend we're in student mode, I guess, and think about it that way too. I hear from other folks that race is a construct, like it's not a real thing, but people treat it like a real thing. So I feel like it has a real definition.
yeah.
I don't know. I'm also going to be reading other things inevitably that other people are writing right now. So
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
it might be difficult to
And
separate that out, but
yeah, so I am not looking at what other people are writing, and I'm just going to wing it and say it's arbitrary categories that we place people in based on superficial like appearances, I guess. And yeah, we look at someone, we assign them to a category. The race is just it is a construct, but it's also a category of some sort.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, like based on if you kind of just boil it down to white, black, and brown or whatever, just by skin, then each of those people, like, they look different,
mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
They have different, if you look at Asian cultures, black hair, straight black hair, they have features, and so those features are different depending on which of those, Colleen said that word category, which category you fall into.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And there are plenty of people with very, very, very dark skin that are very different. And I think that we, maybe as young children, the category is broad and simple, like dark skin, medium dark skin, light skin, whatever, or black hair, brown hair, red hair, blonde hair. But pretty quickly, kids can distinguish, let's say, Pacific Islanders from Japanese or Chinese or Korean, or African Americans from Caribbeans.
Mm-hmm.
I taught for a number of years in Arizona, and it was not at all hard after I had been there for a short time to distinguish the indigenous people from the Latino people. And yet initially, to me, they were all, brown-skinned people.
Brown-skinned, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, well, that's you having that experience, I mean, in Kentucky, right? We're not so lucky.
Right.
We tend to be exposed to the same type of people, but where I first had a situation similar to that is, we had, I don't know, you could count on one hand how many Asians there were in my high school. Then I went to a small private university, and the diversity was very low.
Yeah.
So when I moved to Australia, to a large city in Australia, I was very surprised when I got there. The population was so huge of Asians. I'd never really thought about, oh yeah, it's right there, and they come down. So I guess I was probably under the assumption that just, most Asians look alike. And then after being there for 2 years, yeah, it was very easy to go like, okay, like she's from Hong Kong, right? That he's from China, because they do have very different characteristics. They don't all look the same,
Right.
and that applies to any group of people.
But still arbitrary categories, right?
Yeah.
Aren't they arbitrary categories?
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. And yet we are categorizing organisms. This is what we do. We put things in categories. It's how we make sense of things.
Mm-hmm.
We sort them into categories, and then we assign general characteristics to that category.
Yeah.
So, so for good or for ill, these categories, predated us.
So, I mean, maybe we're even get this. I like this conversation. Maybe we're getting off topic, but I always think this is why I always, like when I was teaching in the university, when I was teaching in high school, I would always just talk to kids, and my own kids even, about you need to get out of your bubble. You need to travel the world. You need to go study abroad. You need to do things, because I do think this is a problem. We get so stuck in, many Americans, of not leaving, never branching out too far from where they grew up. So if you grow up in a small town that's all white, and you don't ever leave, your view on race and racism and your acceptance and tolerance, whatever adjective we put in, for others is going to be very different, because they're not exposed to what's really out there.
Right.
They don't get to know people, that's I think a major problem.
So it's fear. I think very much it's fear of the unknown. If we have never met, an Asian person, for example, in your high school, there were no Asian people. You have probably had, if there were only 3 in your school, what are the chances that you knew any of them, right? And then if they were culturally separate, which often very different ethnicities from the norm tend to keep themselves separate, in my experience at least. So you didn't know them.
Yeah, no, we knew them because there were so few,
Well, you knew who they were, but you didn't know them, like, I don't know. I think of that movie Avatar when they say, I see you, like, mm-hmm. I see into you, right? You couldn't see into them. They were a black box.
Yeah.
So then are we on to maybe what is racism?
Right. Is that some kind of, would you agree that it's some kind of bias for or against certain categories, whether that bias is overt or unconscious? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a fad. Matt, I don't know if you have any kids, but it's a fad right now with kids to, in basically anything that's said, and they just go, oh, that is racist, right? They don't.
Oh, really? I hadn't heard that.
They just don't even know what it means. So I've had this, like even just like a month ago.
So is that like we used to say that's so gay?
It's like they've taken this word that actually has meaning, and they're just trying to apply it to everything, versus like when we used to say that, I never as a kid thought anything about that. It was just, it was just stupid. Just stupid.
Yeah.
I can't believe you're doing that. I never associated that or ever even meant anything negative towards someone that was homosexual. I didn't even know that was a
No.
thing.
No, nor did I until, I don't know.
So
How do we not know about this stuff? It was just very deeply hidden.
yeah,
I'm old, right? It was very deeply, deeply hidden until I went to college. I didn't know what that was.
yeah, yeah. And so with my kids, when they, I have to point out to them, okay, like that's not racism. You're just being an asshole.
Yeah.
It's just not nice. It's not racist. It's just not nice. Like if you refer to someone, you say, the black guy over there, that's not racism that you say he's black. That's just you're identifying. It's like, but if you follow up, if you follow up on it and say awful things that apply to like all black people or the fact that you're better than him because now now it's racism. So
So what characteristics do we assign to those categories? If we do have categories, and we have arbitrary categories based on superficial characteristics, but then we assign characteristics to, it's like if we have a category of birds, we assign certain characteristics to things, organisms in that category. Birds have beaks, birds have wings, birds fly, birds have fast heartbeats, birds, like eat.
There are stereotypical, sorry, I can't say that word, stereotypical things that you think about.
So what stereotypical characteristics do we assign to our arbitrary categories that are...
I think that depends on what culture you are living in, what you've been exposed to, and that goes back to what Bill says about who do you know that you would assign to that category. Who do you actually see and interact with, and that can really influence your things. And I think part of that is human. Like we have this tribal sort of bent. We tend to like to hang out with our own tribe, with our own people. And so it takes work. It takes work. Yeah. It takes work to not do that, and that's difficult.
Well, but we don't see these people as our own people. We don't see these people because they have some, they belong to this category. We don't see them as our own people.
Yeah.
So I'm left-handed. That's a category that I belong to, but I don't, identify strongly enough as a lefty to make sure that all my friends are lefties. I certainly recognize left-handedness in others, and it may be something that I'm just going to guess you guys both are right-handed, that you don't notice. You just don't notice it. I notice it. I notice people with red hair.
Yeah.
We have all kinds of identities.
Yeah, it makes me think of what Bill said. If you're just identifying someone on the street, like that black woman, let's say, you notice it because you probably identify that person as a black person because they're surrounded by people that aren't black.
Yes.
But when you do that, you also indicate that you probably don't do that very often. You don't say that white woman over there.
Right. There's this otherness about this category that we don't belong to. Right?
Yeah.
It's a category we don't belong to. And so, bias, so racism, bias against a particular race. All right. So what is anti-racism then? Is it consciously breaching categories, or is it consciously discarding stereotypes?
I think it definitely has to be conscious, right? Like,
yeah,
because you're having to make an effort to not say something or to change your own the words that we use, or it's to call somebody out on the thing that they do. Not, I mean, basically, right? Not accepting behaviors. And there's got to be some sort of action associated with that. You can't just think in your head, well, I really didn't like what Colleen said. I don't think that would fall under anti-racism. There's got to be some sort of action.
Yeah. So consciously.
How about being conscious of the existence of racism and its effects, and working to correct or
to dismantle, I don't know, to dismantle racist expressions of racism, maybe. I don't know, or institution. There's institutional racism. There.
Do we know though? So like, we can be conscious of the fact that there is racism. As white people, do we know what the effects are? I mean,
well, we know what the effects are on our friends, right? We know what the effects are on our friends. I have a friend, an African American friend, male, ex-cop, in fact, and so he gets it. He gets the racist sort of reactions of people, and he also gets the anti-law enforcement reactions from people. Mm-hmm. That must be a really hard job. I don't know the extent. I really haven't talked to him about whether racism was an impact on his decision to leave law enforcement. He's young. He's like late 20s. He moved next door to my daughter a couple of years ago, he and his wife, and she still works peripherally for law enforcement. He left law enforcement. He's becoming an elementary school teacher. So, but they used to have in front of their house one of those Blue Lives Matter flags. Mm-hmm. And they stopped flying that flag. But it was, it has to be immensely hard to be that category. Right now, we've got this category law enforcement too, and those are bad guys. And, how many categories do we occupy? And we know something about the categories we have occupied. And okay, you're two white males. Do you ever feel picked on?
No.
Yeah, I actually, yes. Yeah. Because anymore, it's all about, we don't really care what you have to say. You're a white male.
Exactly.
Like we're immediately shut down, and like we're just lumped into this group of, you're part of the oppressors, or you're part of the, and
isn't that interesting? There's a category that we have arbitrarily assigned some characteristics to. And, and the label for that category is white male. So I guess maybe ask yourself how it feels. I'm a different category. I'm a woman. Women have been marginalized for millennia. I am a woman of science, in fact, of physics. And we just got our 2-minute warning. And there are very few women in physics. Mm-hmm. And women in general in physics aren't taken very seriously. It's very old, very white, and very male. And so it's kind of hard to break in. It's hard to be an insider.
Yeah.
So I can't be an insider in your community, but I can still feel some of the feelings that someone, that you might have at being, unfairly stigmatized or stereotyped.
Well, and
And
it's, and with
so
what's
to
going
what extent are we doing that with race?
in, well, recently, you know, and like if you look at Twitter, you get people that will just, I mean, they're black and they'll just say, "Hey, white people," and then they'll, and it's like, you know what, I personally take offense to that. Like, I
Yep.
know I'm white, but I'm
Yep.
not a white person that's doing this or saying that. And so it's like, I don't, yeah, it's not a good feeling to
No.
not want to be listened to because I'm a white male, or women, let's say women, think I shouldn't be able to have an opinion on something. Uh, I'm just like, I'm just me.
Right.
And I treat people with respect, and I enjoy learning about, but also I feel like a lot of my perspective comes from the fact I've been lucky enough to live in other countries and travel a lot, and I'm very
Right.
open to people. And you know, not everyone is able to have that experience, but yeah, it's not fun. I mean, I can't even imagine what it's like to be, you know, fear for your life during a traffic stop.
Right.
And I don't want to. I don't want to know what that feels like. I'm sure it's awful, but
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
say I can't put myself in that position and fully understand it, other than saying like it's wrong and that really sucks, you know. So okay, where do we go
Yeah.
from there?
Well, and I think what I'm hearing you talk about is privilege, right? We're all fairly privileged. All three of us in this room are fairly privileged. We've got, you know, we have no fear getting in our car, driving down the street, going to the grocery store, going for a walk in any neighborhood we please,
A run, or bird
on a
watching.
run, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know, anti-racism is doing something about the fact that other people do have that problem.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I put actively working to combat those effects. So I said being conscious. I don't know if you can see what I wrote.
Yeah, I see, I can see it.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah. Looks good to me.
Yeah. Well, cool.
Okay. Wow.
You finished
Group
with
one
20
didn't.
seconds.
Oh, there it is. Group
That's
one.
pretty good.
Group one just pasted in their stuff. Okay. I think we're good. We're being bounced back.
All
Okay.
right. Awesome.
See you on the other side.
Conversation.
Yes.
Realized I was muted again. Ariel, I am trying to Zoom for the first time on a new tablet, and I'm feeling completely helpless. I think Melissa kind of talked me through it, but so I'm talking and I'm muted, and it's different with the Zoom app. You have to kind of swipe.
Yeah, I haven't quite tried Zooming with a tablet yet. I'm a little nervous to try that. Although Zoom interfaces beautifully with your iPad, so you can AirPlay, and that's just beautiful.
Yeah. That's what I've been doing, but I can't work it with the whole Zoom. I should have done it on the other computer. That's
Okay.
okay.
Thank you all for coming back and still sticking with us. Good conversations?
Yeah.
I'm sure that you all saw each other's boards, but I'm going to broadcast them anyway. And hopefully you can all take a look at them. And I'm minimizing your faces, sorry, so I can look at your boards. So what I would like you to do is to please take a good minute to read people's different definitions, and then we'll reflect on our thoughts on that.
Yep, that's true. There's not a lot of power.
Amanda, you're not muted in case you were curious.
So well, I'm just missing the word power in a lot of the racism definitions.
Okay, I think, all right, so Amanda, you talk about that.
Like a lot of people like to say that there's reverse racism, or like there's racism against white people, but that can't be a thing because, oh, somebody had power, but you have to have power along with the prejudice for it to be racist.
Yeah, let me see if am I muted? No.
No,
Okay.
you're fine, Bonnie.
I've telling my group I've been doing a lot of reading in the past couple weeks, and I'd been doing reading before, but the definition that I liked the most was what we have on ours, that you can be prejudiced and bigoted against someone. Like the person that I was reading said, like, look, when somebody calls me a cracker or says something, an epithet about my race, yeah, it's hurtful to have words thrown at you, but I don't have to worry about those words getting me fired. I don't have to worry about those words having the cops called against me and those cops responding with violence. I don't have to worry about my status in my neighborhood because of those words. However, when I use an epithet against someone else, I am using the whole system behind me to threaten that person. And the prime example is the bird watcher in New York. So there's a big difference. You can have a group of people of color who hate other groups of people, but that group can't necessarily leverage their power over that group to create problems in their lives. And I think that's a really big distinction that really was an epiphany for me.
I noticed a lot of people, when they were defining race, that they are they talk about color, and for me, I think color can be, a lot of people they hone in on the color, but color is like, so like not even like the biggest part of it, because there's a lot of people who have brown skin or darker skin who aren't defined as black, or who aren't defined as you know, they're even necessarily a person of color. So I think color is something that we go to because we say, oh, these people are this color, so they're from this group. But there's such a range in people's colors. Like whether you're looking at people who are identifying as Asian or identifying as black, or people who are identifying as white, there's such a range in people's colors that it can't be color alone. That it more has to do with the person's ethnic origins and their the cultural, the society that they live in, and how that society defines the race. So it's really social, cultural, and ethnic origins.
To that point, in our group, we talked about how it's fluid. In the 19th century, for example, the people from Italy and Ireland that came to the U.S. were classified as black, and an Irish person probably has the lightest skin out of anybody, but they weren't considered white, so it's something else.
We also kind of touched on how like Americans view Asians as kind of a monolith, whereas if you grew up in Asia, no matter what, you know all of the variations, and there are in-group they, you know, Chinese people within China view different groups within China as a different race. And we just don't see it because we're blind to it, whether, you know, culturally we're blind to it. But I have Hmong students in my class, and within the Hmong group, there is definitely racism issues there, depending on which version of Hmong you speak.
Amanda asked the question. She said, I have a question in response to what Tanea just said. I don't think of race as cultural because my kids will have a white culture, but will be 100% be identified as being Black. I agree that there is Black culture, but I understand that to be different than a Black race, even though most Black people have that culture. Yeah, we all don't see things the same way. I think it's a part of it. I think definitely it's a part of it. Culture is a part of it. Obviously, if someone adopts kids or someone is has you have mixed race children, then it could be different for those kids. But I think for a lot of people, I don't know. Do you guys think that white people identify as having an agreed upon culture?
Can I stop sharing the screen so we can look at each other? Would that be better at this point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure everybody had seen the texts. Okay.
Yeah.
I think in my experience growing up, I always sought out ethnicities that were different from me because I felt like I didn't have one as a white person.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me a very long time to realize that the reason I was feeling that was because, yes, there is a white culture, but we're so enmeshed in it, we don't see it. And it took me a very, very long time to recognize like what I was feeling of seeking out other cultures was that I was blind to my own culture because I'm so enmeshed in it. And that having that realization really helped me figure out a lot of and process a lot of this for myself. But it took until I was in my 30s to get to that aha moment of, oh, this is why I was seeking that out as a young teenager, tween, all the way up through college, because I liked what Ariel said, like that white cultural piece of being raised in that colorblind myth of the 80s was so much of part of what we were feeding ourselves story-wise, the story we were telling ourselves.
But
So,
to be,
yeah.
oh, go ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead, Colleen.
I'd just like to throw out a question that's, I think, maybe related. And when I think about race, I think about how others see us, not just how we see ourselves. You know, we are ourselves in whatever culture we're in, whether we're conscious of it or not. But others see us in ways, and I can remember being told, this is not really about race, it's about being female, but I can remember being told when I was getting ready to declare a major in college that I was not allowed at the college that I went to declare a major in engineering. That's not for women, you know. And so that was something about how other people saw me. They didn't see me as, you know, a good student with an interest in science who thinks this would be a cool thing for me to do with my life. They saw me as a woman, and just bam, I was out. So it's not totally about how we see ourselves or even the culture that we were embedded in. It's how others with power, to go back to that word.
Yeah, I think so. Am I on mute? I don't know. Oh no. Can you hear me?
You're good.
Oh yeah.
Good.
I think that kind of like what Amanda was saying, that it sort of depends like who's looking, right? Because we talked in our group about, like I said, at my school, that, you know, we have like, you know, kids who, you know, are generationally inner city Black kids, right? And then we have kids that are, have come from Africa, like recently come from Africa. And those two groups of kids don't really mix super well, right? But on the outside looking in, kind of to Amanda's point, like in some senses, it doesn't matter, because if you don't look at like the intricacies, you know, on the street or whatever, you just see like that person is Black, like no matter what, how they grew up, no matter how they got here, no matter their culture. So in some sense, I think there's still a reaction to just the skin color, even though that's probably not the whole picture of it. But it depends who's looking and how much they know, I think.
Yeah, but it's like for if you look at like immigrants that come in from Africa, a lot of them don't have that. If you look back at like, you know, the housing practices, the redlining, the, you know, my dad had to go to jail to be able to fight for Black studies, like
Yeah.
the, you know, all these things that happen generation after generation after generation. In for my family, I think there is a difference. Like it matters whether we look
Oh
the
yeah.
same visually or not.
Oh yeah. No, I think there definitely is a difference, but I don't think everybody can see that difference. You know what I mean? Like I think that it's a definitely different experience, but in some sense on the outside, like people just automatically see the skin color and then they stop looking. You know what I mean? Like they don't look at what's behind that, and it's especially the whole thing that's been all of the past history thing, like that's important. That needs to be looked at. And sometimes I think people don't really look at that because they just only look at the skin color and then stop. But it's very different. I totally agree with you.
We have, technically, I think Bill, I don't know if Bill's still here, we had an hour for this. So we, believe it or not, it is 1:52 Eastern time. So I know many of us would be happy to stay on longer if that's okay with AMTA people. But for people,
yeah.
But for people who do have to go after the hour, I would like to be able to finish some of the things that Tanea and I had worked on putting together. Are we okay with this? And then we're happy to continue to have these conversations. These conversations are difficult, and the important thing is these conversations are ongoing. These should not stop as soon as, you know, 2 p.m. or 11 a.m. hit your time. I forget what time it is in other places. I'm sorry. Okay, so now we are.
While she's going to the slides, I just want to say thanks for sharing your definitions, because I think it really helps people to kind of start conversations to see like where are we starting from. So I appreciate that.
So Tanea and I had thought about actionable items, because what at least I noticed on a lot of your slides, and I was trying to pop into a number of groups, is that we wanted to make things actionable. That it's not just about having these conversations, but it's about what can we as an organization do and what we as individual teachers can do. The first one is discuss race, equity, inclusion in our distance learning courses, modeling workshops, and in our classrooms. Some people have questioned, well, how do we do this? And the answer is, you have to. It's okay to be uncomfortable, and and so that if it's in a distance learning course or modeling workshop, there are readings, there are podcasts. Some of us from leadership who are doing the distance learning this summer have worked on putting together, have been cultivating resources, and I'm sure we're happy to share those out, of ways you can do it. And what it is that you have the conversations. I know at some teachers Mass Bay last year, we had it as a requirement that these conversations occurred in all of our workshops. And for the most part, we got really positive feedback, but I'll be honest, I had some people who pushed back, who said, this is just about learning science. Why do we have to have these conversations? And the answer is, we have to have these conversations because this is our way of making sure that all of our students are actually included. If we are building a culture, then we have to address these issues.
Let me just add that I think can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good to know.
Yeah.
Okay, I think it's really important that you guys find a team, like when you go back to your school, find people who will do the work with you. You shouldn't have to do it by yourself.
Yeah.
Like, get a team of people to like come up with ideas and share.
For AMTA, Tanea reminded me that we need to partner with organizations that have ties to Black, Indigenous, and people of color. So there are established organizations out there. As AMTA, we need to make the efforts to reach out and connect. People don't come to places where they don't feel welcome. We need to partner with organizations.
So can I ask you, do either of you have suggestions of organizations that with specific organizations that we should partner with?
There's a
I have some. Go ahead.
There's a Black physicist group, a society.
Yep. Okay. What else?
There's a group in, I have it on my email. There's a group in California for Black teachers, and there's also like Black Teachers Rock. There's like these national organizations, multicultural organizations. I have a list of some of that in my email. I can pass it on.
Hashtag EduColor is also a website. Not only do they, is it a Twitter hashtag, but they actually have a website and contact information that we can reach out to as well.
Okay.
Did you say EduColor?
EDU, like
Okay.
education, EduColor.
Okay.
We recommend also continue to host webinars, but to connect teachers from various backgrounds and to gather. Then Tanea really suggested that we, as AMTA, put together on the website, and we've been gathering some resources as well, how to frame conversations about race to help in classroom and workshop discussions. That if we are saying that this is important that teachers do in our classrooms and in our workshops and in our courses, well, then let's have this actually on the website for everybody to be able to access. And again, these were our thoughts as we were putting this together. We are not limited to these, and these are just jumping off points. But we also know that it's not just about AMTA having actionable items. It is also about things that we can do in the conversation. So what can you as an individual do? Educate yourself on race and race relations in the US. And the fact that many of you are here tells me already that you have already been engaging in some sense in this work. There are numerous resources. These are, a handful of the books that I have been reading. The others are, I think they're like on my front porch and on my couch because that's what we've been doing. But also take a look at who you follow on social media. If you are active on Twitter, who are the people you are following? And who are the people who are following you? That should give you a sense of what type of messages that you're getting out. It is expanding your circle of people you talk to. And this is primarily for the white educators who are out there. Are you only listening to other white teachers? Are you only listening, is what you get out of your latest on education research only from white educators? That means you're missing things. You want to examine the racism in your school, in your teaching, and in your grading practices. Whether it's having, go ahead, Tanea, jump in anytime.
Yeah, I just want to say that that's not, that's a huge statement right there. A lot of schools, I think are unwilling to actually do that. But if you have a school and historically there's no Black people at your school, you might want to ask, why? If there's no Asian people at your school, why? If there's no whoever. But it's not just that, it's the people who are there. So if you have Hispanic students and Black students and they're not in AP and honor classes, why is that? If you have them and they have a lower graduation rate, why is that? If you have if you self-reflect and you kind of look at like, who are the kids that you call on in your class? Do kids of color feel comfortable even having a conversation with you, or do they have to go to another teacher in the building to like actually be themselves? And do you have grading practices that proportionally are going to be affecting students of color because their circumstances are different? If you are not willing to change those grading practices, why is that? So that's not something that's going to happen overnight. It's something that you're going to do over a period of time. But if you start examining and reflecting, you may be willing to make changes that are going to benefit all students, including students of color. And go ahead, Ariel.
No. You go ahead, Tanea.
And I would challenge you to ask your schools to start looking at like the history of your school too, because when we started digging into our old yearbooks, we found some stuff that was really like clearly racism was a problem on our campus, like a huge problem on our campus. And if racism is a problem, if it was a problem in the past, it doesn't just change overnight. It's currently still a problem based on experiences that I've had and other students have had. And so even though everybody's getting together now and making these anti-racist statements on like Twitter and Facebook and stuff, racism doesn't go away overnight. And so you have to be willing to do a deep examination. It's really important.
And I was going to add, looking at your discipline policies, your dress codes, and how are they impacting particular groups of students more than others? Yeah.
I'll do the last two, if you're okay with that.
Yeah, go ahead. Absolutely.
You need to have conversations with your students about race. Kids like talking about stuff. Like, I've never had kids that don't want to talk in my class. Whether they agree with me or not, doesn't matter. They want to talk. So I've had kids like openly say, well, I heard that Black people are, they were genetically bred to be, superior, and that's why they're all basketball players. So it's like, if kids don't feel safe to say that, then how am I ever going to help them with their thought process? I need to know what the kids think to be able to work with them. And so I need to create a safe space where kids can speak their truth. And I just say, I accept that these are things that you've heard, these are ideas that you have. Now let's gather some information and see how we process that information. So you got to talk with your kids about race, about justice, systemic practices, about different types of scientists and inventors, have different types of posters in your room, and actually put a sign up that says this is a safe space. Like, I have my LGBT sign up that I have, and then I have posters of people of color in my room. And so I'm trying to let people know, like, hey, you can talk about these things in my room and it's totally going to be okay. And I've had kids come in my room and say, this is like a Democratic wall. And I'm like, there's no political things up there whatsoever, but they get the sense that I'm really open, even though just by what I have on the walls. And then there's a test right there where you can test your unconscious bias. We all have it. And it's for you to be aware of it. I think it's really important, because then you can try to focus on, well, how can I work against these biases that I have? And so there's a few different, there's one test from Harvard, and this one is from like MTV. You can even have your students do the test. And sometimes you're surprised about what your unconscious mind is telling you, but it does affect how you interact with people.
Tanea, can I add something also to that? I feel like with my students, I feel like one of the biggest questions they always ask me is that, why is my school have less funding than the other schools? And they always bring up the color or the race aspects and the whole culture aspect. And I always tell them that funding is different from other places is because of stakeholders. And that if they understand how that funding is going and how sometimes there is a lot of racial inequalities that happen, because the kids, and at least for me, they're high schoolers, they're trying to figure out what they're going to do in life. And when we talk about these inequality issues, especially with funding with education, is why is their education less than other schools, is because of who is stakeholding within that institution. And when they see that, and when they hear about that, it has that burning fire with them, and that I feel can push a student to really what they're passionate about. And I feel like they have to have, like, we have to have conversations, these open conversations, whether they're uncomfortable or whether other teachers are uncomfortable. But I think a lot of people need to understand is that I think one way for these kids to feel like they're underprivileged, especially if they're really, really having in that lens that it's their race or their culture is that defining that how their education is that they need to know, like, how can we change that in a governmental thing? Like, we should have more consciously aware people that are at the government or the power or even our stakeholders for that.
Absolutely. And Tanea and I put together a list of some resources for all of you. Now, if you are, I'm able to access this from the slide itself. You won't be able to access it through Zoom, but if you look in the slideshow, all the links I believe are working. I know, thanks Amanda, for some people were struggling with the MTV one. The first one was a link to the blog post that Tanea and I wrote, and I thank Tanea for asking me to write it with her. Gosh, it was back in November, December time period, which seems like a year ago at this point. Why equity matters to us, and sorry to be us, not US. And I did not link to, but we also were interviewed for the Modeling Science Talks podcast.
Science Modeling Talks, yeah.
Science Modeling Talks podcast.
Yeah.
You can hear us there too. But the rest of these are links on how to bring it into your classrooms, whether it is how to have the conversations, some pedagogy, some equity tools, some really great Twitter threads that have been on it. Last time I checked, they were all working when I put them together. And of course, you can always, no, we don't have answers, but we're here for helping frame conversations and making sure to help support people who want to have these conversations.
I would say we're committed to sitting in the mess.
Yeah.
And just swimming through it. And if that's you, then that's half the battle, because I would say that most people don't want to put the time in to do that.
As we said earlier, this is not a one and done. This is not, hey, let's feel better about this and let's go on. This is about sitting in that mess and working through it. And I'm in a book group that some people here in as well about, and we're reading Why Are All the Black Kids Sitting Together in the Cafeteria? I was literally, thank you. Thank you, Teresa. Mine is, on my porch where I've been reading it, and I was literally on page 5, and I start rage texting the couple people that I work with who share my views. I say, my school is unique. We are not bound by a town line because I'm a county school. How come we're not recruiting people from these different communities? And I started putting together an action plan of things that I want to propose to my school about ways that we can actually do things. Now I'm ready to sit in that mess and fight with my school, and the people who know me know that I have plenty of fights with my school about issues of equity. But I'm willing to do that. I see some laughs from people who know me. It is 2:09. We are past that 1 hour mark. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, you guys. Thank you so much for coming. If you have something to say, I'll stay on the call for another 5 minutes if Bill doesn't, or Colleen doesn't mind, Wendy doesn't mind.
It's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
Stay as long as you want.
But we appreciate you guys being here so much.
I'm just going to say that modelers make things happen. The modeling teachers made this community happen. And in general, the people in this room are change makers. They're not afraid to get in and mix it up. And we aren't perfect or you know, all knowing, but we are willing to, you know, to engage and to move the ball down the field, or whatever metaphor you want to use. And I applaud you all for doing something this morning. It's a step. And then what are we going to do in the fall when we do that climate setting stuff in our classroom? And how the heck are we going to do it on Zoom if we've got to do it on Zoom? I mean, this is going to be hard, but it's there is an awakening happening here, and seize the day.
Thank you all for coming. I'm happy to stay on for a bit. I practice benign neglect parenting with my 14-year-old. I don't really know what's going on.
I just wanted to jump in. Tanea, I took your workshop last summer, and there was that question of why are all the Black kids sitting together? They exclude all the white people. And you had this really painful talk about what it means to you to be with your Black friends, and how that's the one place in life in which you can be 100% fully yourself without having to wear any mask, to check yourself. And I just wanted to say, like, that was really impactful to me, and I wanted to thank you, because here we are a year later, and I deeply remember that. I wanted to thank you for that.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, sometimes, like, for some student, depends on where you're growing up, but like for me, I'm always in white spaces, so I'm always the only Black person at every single job that I've had, and it's and a lot of people let me know that they don't necessarily like me being there. They don't like the comments that I make or my perspective, and so to be able to have a space where I can just kick back and relax with Black people, especially over food, you know. It's nice to just be able to like have that that moment, you know, where I can just relax for a moment, because normally I can't necessarily say what I really want to say without fear of like, oh, maybe someone's going to want to fire me, or even on freaking Facebook and Twitter, I have to worry about what I say.
Oh, we all worry about that all the time. That's why I don't go there anymore.
Tanea, I don't know if I ever told you, but you know, I worked at a small private school, and it's majority white. Amanda, it's where Erica works currently, and you know, everybody. It's like, oh, it's everyone's copacetic. Everyone loves each other. Morning meetings all the time. And one time, two of our Black students, and they just both happened to be basketball players, so they were popular. They both had transferred in from a large public school, but they stood up in front of the whole school and they basically just said, look, you know, when we like you, but when we walk into the cafeteria, we're looking for the people that look like us, which is a small group. And I think it was a huge blow to the gut for all of our white students to hear that, because they, you know, in their heads, I'm thinking, a lot of them told me, we're friends, like we're cool, we're friends, what's the problem? And they just didn't understand the fact that when they walk in, they want to look and, okay, that person looks like me and that's where I'm sitting. So it was a really great moment, I think, for our students to hear them say that. And I think for them, it was really cool. Like, it took a lot of courage to stand up in front of the entire student body to say that.
All right, now what are we going to do? I mean,
well,
what I'm feeling at the moment is, now what are we going to do?
I'm working on summer school kids. I got to grade all their tests this weekend. It's hard teaching summer school because, you know, they don't all have the same devices right now.
Yeah.
In the fall, they'll all have the same computers, but right now it's like all over the place for summer. So got to be really flexible with the kids.
Some of us are still in school. We haven't started summer yet.
Yeah, I know. I've got one more week.
Oh my gosh.
And
my kids have been done since May 15th.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of sitting around here.
And
I have to make sure that the people in the ASU workshops tomorrow will have access. So I will be approving some memberships. So,
Okay, memberships. All right.
yeah,
Very good.
so
Very
I'll
good.
be doing that.
Exciting times with all of these courses that we're having for the very first time. I don't know, it's nervous and excited about how this is all going to happen. I really want to eavesdrop, but I know I shouldn't.
Yeah.
I think we can, in certain workshops, we can peek in and
Oh, right. Right. If they're using our Zoom room, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
have wait lists. So I think, but I've been also been sharing, I have been sending people to other other workshop hosts because there's still openings for others for mechanics and chemistry. So hopefully you're getting your seats filled.
Chem 1 is filled in Massachusetts. We are booked.
Chem
Yeah.
1 is
Okay.
killing
Yeah.
this summer.
And
Wow.
mechanics, you still had openings for mechanics because I have a wait list for,
We only have like 2.
Yeah, we have 2
Yeah,
slots.
2.
I have 7. You only have 2 people or you have
No,
2
we have 2
openings?
openings.
Okay,
Two
okay.
openings. Okay.
So I'm putting people on the wait list, but chances are that, well, of course I will not have 7 openings. So I've been sending them to you and Maine. So
Yeah. Well,
I
I don't
did
know.
recommend somebody who was number 3 on the waiting list for chemistry she also teaches bio. I said she should take bio and get her AMT and learn pedagogy and
yes.
be able to do it. And then you also have access to the other content, and then she can
Yeah.
take a chem content one next year.
Sure. Sure. No,
So
I
for
think that's smart.
Tanea, did you recommend June or July?
For who?
Biology.
Tanea is one of my close friends, so I'm going to recommend Tanea.
Yeah, we need to add a few to Tanea's section right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
We do.
Gloria's is doing well. Tanea's, we need to get a few more.
Yeah.
But there are a couple of leaders in the room, right? So Teresa, Ariel,
Jeremy.
Tanea, and Jeremy
Yeah.
are going to be leading courses this summer. So I just sent a note out the other day to those leaders for AMTA hosted courses, sorry. And,
Courses.
I said there's 4 important things here. One is the pedagogy is important. 2, how you work it into your discipline is important. 3, giving teachers just ideas and tech tools. And because, we could be in some hybrid or full remote version of school next year, who knows? But then equity and diversity is important. So, I don't know, how can we make them do it? But it's important. We want you to do it. So I think I like the idea of, I'm going to try to figure out where is the best place and how to do it, but putting our statement up there, and maybe I'll just put it with the equity and diversity mission statement that we have, or whatever we officially titled that on the website. But then I think if we can get a collection of resources and readings to also kind of put that with it as well and direct people there, I think would be helpful. Yeah. So I like that idea. If you've got a list, or if anyone still on the call has a list of something that's really great, people to follow, books to read, resources, let me know.
And maybe stories, and maybe modeler stories, I think people probably have personal stories on equity issues, and maybe they could be courageous and share. Maybe if we ask, you never know until you ask. But I think that what does this look like in a modeling classroom is kind of hovering in the back of a lot of people's minds. So let's tell them, let's show them, let's have somebody who knows what it looks like in their classroom.
Yeah.
Talk about it.
Yeah, it's Tanea, you mentioned you said a couple of things on the call that you mentioned it's just you let the kids ask questions and you answer them, and you accept that they may have thoughts that you're going to help to educate them. I think for white people, I'll speak for myself, right? I can't speak for all, is that not everyone, you are really good at it. And I've talked to you enough to, like, you're really good and you're open and you're easy to talk to. But not everybody is. So is what, makes sometimes conversations very difficult, because not everyone is welcoming as you are. And probably some of that is just you and your personality, but some of it's also because you're a teacher. And that's what
But like, I think it's, you can do different things. So if you can always have like discussion boards or like a Padlet, or you can have kids do videos like with Flipgrid.
Yeah.
If you're not comfortable necessarily the first time doing it in person, try doing it like in some other way, just to get, you can still get students feedback. I just like kids to be able to have conversation with each other and talk to each other. I like them to be able to wrestle with the ideas with each other. So if you can have kids like discuss things on a board or share videos with each other or have to comment on different people's perspectives, that might be a way to start a conversation. And like I said, the only time I've taken a kid and said, you got to get out my classroom. Well, actually, I didn't even do that. I waited till the end of the class. But when the kid used the N, he said NW on the board. Then I said at the end of class, I was like, okay, well, I'm not sure if you understand what you're doing, but I'm gonna have the dean talk to you. I was so nice to him. I'm gonna have the dean talk to you to kind of explain how you might be expressing yourself in a way that people might misinterpret. And then the dean took care of that. And then the kid came back to class and he wrote me a letter and he apologized and he had to do all this stuff. And then we kept that relationship going. And the kid showed up to like the culture event that we had later in the year. And he put out a lot of effort to try to grow.
Yeah.
So you're gonna hear something that you don't like or you don't feel comfortable with. And I've heard white teachers say like black kids have called them racist or things like that. That kind of stuff is hard to deal with. But as a teacher, I think you have to say it's better to take some of that and just deal with it, and than to not do anything.
Yeah, and I think all good teachers have to have kind of a bad memory for what might have happened a while ago, because kids change, and if every day can be a new day, and if a kid who is a pain in the butt is going to show up next week and feel like learning and feel like participating, we've got to let them do that. I don't know.
I would also remind you that for the white people who are on here, it is not the people of color's responsibility to educate you. That's not their job.
Yeah, I'm gonna echo that because man, last week was freaking exhausting. I had people asking me all kinds of stuff, and then to have to give a speech to my entire school was very stressful for me because I didn't know how people were gonna respond. But then I kept saying, "Well, I need to do it. I need to do it. I need to do it." But then, like I said, they're always asking me to be vulnerable. And between my graduate courses and my summer course that I'm teaching, and all the other things that I'm doing, sometimes I get overwhelmed with stuff that people ask me to do. So I'm not talking to AMTA right now, but you guys can ask other people, reach out and,
Right.
or put it on yourself sometimes.
Actually, we should let you go grade papers then, Tanea. Because maybe we've sucked you dry. Maybe we've sucked you dry now, have we?
Well, I appreciate you two being available for today. And please, I hope that you never feel like we're taking advantage of you. I enjoy listening to both of you speak, and I value your thoughts and opinions on these topics. So I was very happy that you were available to turn it around in a short time.
Yeah, I love AMTA. So
love AMTA, and Tanea and I make a pretty
AMTA
good.
loves you.
Tanea and I are a good team together. So
Yes, you are. The dynamic duo.
Okay, I'm gonna log off because I gotta meet
Okay.
Stephanie in 15 minutes,
All
and she's
right.
gonna get mad at me if I'm not ready.
Okay, go get ready.
You guys
All
have
right.
a great day.
You too.
Okay, have a great day.
I'll
Thanks
see you all
everyone
at
for
the
coming.
Conference.
at our
The
workshop.
conference.
Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
The
conference.
workshop. Yep.
Bye. Yeah, bye.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Okay, I'm gonna. If anyone else has any questions, I can leave it going. If we're done, I'm happy to stop the recording and you guys go enjoy your Sunday.
We are done.
Okay.
Stick a fork in it.
All right.
It's done.
Press and stop. Thank you all for coming, and
Thanks so much.
good luck with the rest of the school year if you're still going.
Thanks.
We are.